All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Make It Happen podcast. I'm here it's crazy to say, but in my studio. Obviously, I don't own it, but I'm the manager. I'm here every day. This is my home. We're here after hours. We're recording a little something because I figured it's time for me to get back behind the mic. I sit in the chair over there while other people are behind the mic, but today it's my time. And I'm here because I give the people what they want, and they want more of this podcast. Now, do they really? I don't know, but you're gonna get it. And today we're just gonna kind of talk. We're gonna talk about Jalen Hurts primarily. We're gonna talk about the Phillies. Honestly, that's really it. If we're being honest, we're gonna get into Jalen. We're gonna get into the Phillies. We're gonna get into Schwarber and his historic season here as a Philly. We're going to get into why Jalen is a top 5 quarterback. So stick with me, and let's get into the episode. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. So as of recording this, the Eagles are 1-0. Started Thursday night against the Cowboys. Pretty game, honestly. Jalen Carter got thrown out 6 seconds into the game for spitting on Dak. Obviously, probably a lot of you have seen that. So that's kind of insane, to be honest with you. The defense after that just really looked rocky. They didn't look great. Let's think. What were some key moments there? I mean, Adoree Jackson, awful. Reason he got cut, which is actually hilarious. But we should have known that. He's a Giants player. What good Giants player? Oh, that's right. We have Saquon. But other than that, there's really never been a good Giants player to leave the Giants and go anywhere else and do well. Shout out Daniel Jones, week 1 performance with the Colts. I get it. But I think we all know that's not going to happen again. But yeah, the offense looked good. Do we want to say it looked good? It looked all right. Jalen looked good. Again, I'm going to get to him in a minute here. Jalen looked good on his feet. It kind of looked like he just took what the defense gave him, and that was they weren't covering him and they weren't accounting for the run. So Jalen took off. Ran a lot. I don't know exactly his stats, but yeah. Let's think. What else? A.J. Brown had 1 catch for 8 yards. Devonta, I think, had 1 catch for 8 yards. Our leading receiver was Jahan Dotson. Kind of odd. Saquon, I mean, the Cowboys did decent, I guess. We did lose Landon Dickerson after the rain delay, which is an insane thing to think about. When we're talking about football, there was a rain delay. I attribute that to baseball. But, we roll with the punches. The Cowboys, they came out after that rain delay, and they looked decent. Again, I don't know if it was because of we lost Landon Dickerson so the defense could get home. It was because we didn't have Jalen Carter, so their offensive line looked like the Eagles' 2024, 2025 offensive line. But they looked all right. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and praise the Cowboys, but they looked fine. Now, is that me saying, oh, they're going to be good this year? No. That's me saying they looked fine and giving respect, but they're still not going to make the playoffs. So, Cowboys fans, suck it. So now let's talk about Jalen. So yesterday, driving home from work, I watched an interview that was all about basically Philly sports takes. And it was this guy just defending against the Eagles. I guess it wasn't Philly sports. It was the Eagles sports takes. And he had a bunch of different takes. Like the Eagles have the best fans, which we do. That Jalen Hurts is top 5 quarterback. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are the best wide receiver duo in the league. A bunch of them. And the one that really stuck with me was the Jalen Hurts take. And like I just said, it was Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And I heard a lot in that. And I thought, let me sit down and let me do my top 5 ranking and then explain why I think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. So let's start at 1. A lot of people are going to say it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm not. Right now, I think in the NFL, I'm going to put Josh Allen as the number one quarterback in football. And maybe recency bias shows that, but week 1 against the Ravens absolutely torched them. Threw for like 340, I think. They were down 20, came back, won that game. And Allen he's a freak. He's a superhuman. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball with the best of them. He has utter poise. The only thing he doesn't have on his resume, well, he now has an MVP on his resume. The only thing he doesn't have is a deep playoff run, aka made it to the Super Bowl. And everyone's gonna say, yeah, well, that's because Mahomes has beat him. Yeah, cool, got it. We just beat the doors off Mahomes, so let's relax. Okay, at number 2, I'm gonna put Mahomes. Obviously, I just said Allen hasn't made a deep playoff run, and that's because of Mahomes. We get it. Mahomes has basically a monopoly on the AFC. And I think for that reason, I can't, I don't know. I can't put him anywhere lower than 2. Now, I really want to because he's good, but I think he's also a product of his coaching. I think he's a product of his team. But I understand why people think he's great, and I also think that I'm not saying he isn't great. I think he is great. But I also understand why some people would want to put the one behind him over him. But Mahomes is probably going to go down as a top 5 quarterback of all time. Some people are already arguing he is that. So yeah, Mahomes is 2. So it's Allen 1, Mahomes 2. Third, it's Lamar. And I think a lot of people would be like, I don't know, Lamar might be better than Josh Allen, blah, 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 blah. I think it is Lamar. I think it's Allen. I think Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson. And Lamar's 3. So obviously you have Allen, you have Mahomes, then you have Lamar, and Lamar is electric. I think that's the word I would use for Lamar. He is as close to like a video game character as you can get. He is Mike Vick 2.0. I don't think anyone's going to ever be as electric as Vic, but he's really Vic 2.0. And as he's gotten older and as he's been in the league longer, he can sling it. He can throw the ball with the best of them. His mechanics throwing the ball aren't as good as the quarterback I have next, which is Burrow. But he has beaten the allegations of he's just a running quarterback. He's dual threat, can throw it with the best of them, can run it with the best of them. That game on, I guess, Sunday night, the Bills-Ravens, unbelievable. Great game. So if you didn't see that, go watch the highlights. It was awesome. So then 4, I just mentioned him, is Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow at 4 is purely off of talent. And now that is where, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a second, but that is where I think the waters kind of get murky with the people after Burrow. But Burrow is 4, and that's because of talent. I think pound for pound, if you put them in a skills competition, just for specifically quarterback-esque, like throwing the ball, mechanics, that thing, I think Burrow is your number 1. I think he has the best mechanics. I think he has the strongest arm. I think he is as close as we've seen to a quarterback like Tom Brady. The not super athletic type, but is going to make the right play. He's going to make that tight window throw. He's going to really kind of like break down a defense with his mind, rather than like an Allen or Mahomes or especially a Lamar, where they can gash you for 40, 50 yards if you're not careful. Burrow's not going to do that, but he is going to gash you for 40, 50 yards in a 10-minute drive because he's just so methodical, he's smart, and he's great. But now, with that being said, he can do all that, but where's it gotten him? And then to that, people would say, well, look at his team. He has the worst owner. He is a cheapskate of an owner. Yeah, we get it, sure. But some people would argue the greats do more with less. Look at Brady. I mean, Belichick, the best receiver he had was Randy Moss. He had him for like a year and a half. Then after that, it was Wes Welker. It was Julian Edelman. Sure that he had Gronk. Yes, I get it. But he never had like Burrow right now has Jamar Chase. Peyton Manning had Reggie Wayne. And he had Marvin Harrison. Who were some other? Like, there obviously there's these big physical receivers. Like, even at, as crazy as it sounds, at Matt Ryan's height, he had Julio Jones. There's always, like, a lot of what makes great quarterbacks great is they can do more with less. And Burrow made it to the one Super Bowl and never went back. And I'm talking about this for a reason, and I'm going to get there here shortly. So my top four are Mahomes, nope, Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, and Burrow. And I think there is a tier for each. I think Allen, Mahomes, Lamar are in tier 1. I think Burrow is in tier 2. And then my number 5 is Jalen Hurts. Okay. So now we have gotten to where this podcast is going to get good, right? So if you hear that in the background, they're doing some construction, and they've been here all day. So just ignore it. I'll try and edit it out in post. But let's get to number 5. So number 5 is Jalen. And Jalen here is interesting because he is, well, first of all, he's the Super Bowl MVP. And I don't think there ever has been a quarterback coming into the season that's been Super Bowl MVP and not been ranked the top 5 quarterback, like the major consensus as him being the top 5 quarterback. And so some people would be like, yeah, well, that means he definitely isn't. He's like, if he's not ranked top 5 after winning Super Bowl MVP, he's definitely not good enough to be top 5. Yeah, screw you. Right? Like, you don't, as the kids say these days, you don't know ball. Okay, so Jalen is 5, and Jalen is kind of the inverse of Joe Burrow. The argument is like the inverse of Joe Burrow. The argument for Joe Burrow, like I said, is he's so great because he doesn't really have anything around him, but yet he still puts up the stats, right? Well, Jalen has everything around him, and he doesn't really put the stats up, but he puts the wins up. So the question really should be, I guess, when you're making a list like this, what's the criteria? Do you want the quarterback that's going to put up the stats, or do you want to put up the quarterback that's going to put up the wins? It's a good question. And now people will be like, oh, well, that's copium because you don't want to admit that Jalen is in top 5. Yeah, but like, what is the biggest thing for a quarterback? A quarterback is the leader of your team. He's the driving force of your offense. The biggest, most glaring stat of all quarterbacks is wins. So I don't really understand why when our quarterback here in Philadelphia, I do understand, and I'll say it in a second, but I don't understand why our quarterback here in Philadelphia, when he starts winning, just because he doesn't do it the way that other quarterbacks have done it, all of a sudden he's not top 5, but he's winning. But that doesn't mean anything. And it's really because people hate Philadelphia and they don't want the Eagles to be good. They don't like us, the fans. They don't like anything that we stand for. They don't like our passion, all of that. And sure, we get it. No one likes us. We don't care, right? But really diving deeper into this Hurts category, he's top 5, and he doesn't have the stats because, quite honestly, he doesn't have to. If you could turn around and give your running back the ball and he could rip a 60-yard run once or twice every game, wouldn't you? What do you do when you're winning a game? Do you throw the ball or do you run the ball? I'll wait. For all of you people that don't know ball, you run the ball because it kills the clock, and then you win the game. And then after you compile a bunch of wins, you make it to the playoffs, and then in the playoffs, you try to win games. And when you win games in the playoffs, you get to the Super Bowl. And what is the ultimate goal in the National Football League? It's to win the freaking So if by running the ball over and over again, and Jalen doesn't have to throw the ball, but we make the Super Bowl, that's the point of the whole game. So we shouldn't be penalizing Jalen for not having the stats when he, rather than going and trying to throw for 500 yards a game like Joe Burrow, who then loses 31-33, and people are going to say it's the defense. Yeah, well, if your quarterback was that great, he'd win you the game. Well, rather than doing that, why don't you guys just try and win the game and humble yourself? Because that's what Jalen has done. And then people will be like, oh, well, he can't do it. I'm glad someone said that, because he can do it. So let me see. Let's go to some big games here. Let's see. Last year against the Commanders, 55-23. Oh man, it was all Saquon. No, you could argue that the Commanders game was Jalen's best game. He had 260 total yards, 4 total touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. But he probably had a tush push. Okay, sure. Super Bowl 52. Obviously, Super Bowl 52, we lost. I will argue that it is because of a bad pass interference call. Obviously, Jalen did have a bad fumble. It was almost Houdini fumble. You can't really, I'm not going to make an excuse for it, but I've never really seen anything like it because no one touched him. He kind of just was like, oop, there goes the ball. But outside of that, in that game, Jalen had 304 passing yards, 70 rushing yards, and 4 total touchdowns. That sounds like a quarterback that can do it all. Oh, by the way, it's on the biggest stage against, at the time, the best team in the world who had just come off a Super Bowl. I don't know, dude. Sounds like someone who can play. And then last year against the Chiefs, let's just remember, the Chiefs completely shut down Saquon. I know we blew the doors off of them. We basically beat them 40-0, but they shut down Saquon. So how did we score all those points? Right. Jalen had 220-plus passing yards in that game. I'm not going to even read the exact amount. He had 72 rushing yards and 3 total touchdowns in a great performance. Again, the tush push, man, respectfully, kiss my ass. Okay, the tush push is a play, and you're mad because your team can't do it. And you can't stop it. So we're going to line up every time. You know exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to run down your throat. So if you tried to ban it, you can't stop it, so screw you. Back to Jalen. So I read those stats. So he can play the game at the highest level. He has chosen to buy into an offensive system that is going to win him games. You can't punish him for buying into a system that doesn't need him to be as great as he is. That's it. Right there. That is it. Oh, by the way, I think I would arguably say he's the best leader of an offense in the NFL. Yes. He is always calm, cool, and collected. He's always like right here. There's never up. There's never down. Even at his worst, he's here. At his best, he's here. Now, is it kind of painful to watch him like after we win the Super Bowl and he doesn't celebrate? Yes, absolutely. But as a leader, he's great. So, again, my list. Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills is 1. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs, is 2. Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens is 3. Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals is 4. And Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl MVP of your Philadelphia Eagles, is 5. That is my 5. And then after that, in no particular order, getting like 6 through 10, somewhere in there is Justin Herbert. Don't even get me started with him and his 4 interceptions in a playoff game, like the wild card round. That's why he's not top 5, so don't even bring it up. So somewhere in there is him. Somewhere in there is Baker Mayfield. Somewhere in there is C.J. Stroud. Somewhere in there is Dak. Just kidding. Somewhere in there is Jared Goff. And at 10, Obviously not at 10, but in that the 5 more, somewhere in there is, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. So that is the Philly. So that is the Eagles. Okay. So that's Jalen Hurts, and that's my top 5. So those are my top 5 quarterbacks. And if you don't like it, too bad. Sorry about it. You in the comments, tell me your top 5. How about we do that? There's some fan engagement for you. So let's talk about a little bit more happy of a topic. Let's talk about the Phillies. The Phillies right now, as we speak, last night they just beat the Mets, I think 9-2. So that's something we haven't done in a while. We blew the doors off the Mets. Always love doing that. And we are now, I believe, 9 games, maybe 9.5 games up in the NL East. And our magic number to clinch is 9. So with that, I think the momentum that we have going into the playoffs, if we can keep at this pace, it might be our year. And I kind of sound like a Cowboys fan, like, how about them Phillies sort of thing. But it just might, I don't know. There's something about this team that's different than other teams. Like, even when we're in really bad slumps, we somehow find a way to kind of like, maybe we pitch our way out of it. We get a timely hit. Schwarber hits a mammoth, like, homer. Harper has some random, like, fluke base hit that leads to a bottom of the order, like, hit frenzy that leads to a rally. Like, I don't know. There's just something about this team that some of these past, especially the past, like, 2 years, we just haven't had. So with that, let's see. I mean, let's talk about this team a little bit. Obviously, right now, Trey Turner's on the injured list. He is out with a hamstring injury. They said it wasn't as bad as last year, because last year I think he missed 40 games, 35 games. And so I think they said this year it's just a grade 1. He should be back for the playoffs, because the playoffs start here in, 2 weeks, a week and a half. So looking forward to him being back, because he's really, for me, he's the standout player of the year. He should be in the MVP conversation. Had he been this hot all year, he probably wins National League MVP. But he's hitting, I think, 305 right before he went down with that injury. He led the MLB. Nope. Actually, no. I think he led the NL in hits. And he was like a point or two away from the Triple Crown. Or no, not the Triple Crown, the batting title in the National League, which I don't know. I don't remember the last time Philly won the National League batting title. But yeah, so I mean, he's a standout. Second standout, and honestly, he's first, is Kyle Schwarber. He's hitting, I think, 245, which for him, we can't really complain. And he just hit his 50th homer last night. And fun fact, we have not had another player, or we've only had one other player in Phillies history hit 50 homers, and that was Ryan Howard. And I believe that was his MVP season in 2006. Yeah, I think in 2006. So Schwarber's here. He's made history. And if he puts together a little hot streak, he could potentially tie Howard. I mean, it's going to be tough. I think Howard had 58, and Schwarber just got to 50 last night with, I think, like 10 or 12 games left. So he's going to have to go on a tear, but it's possible. He's definitely, I think, number 2 in homers, and then in all of baseball, I think. I don't think Shohei's at 50 yet. I think it's just the big dumper, Cal Raleigh out in Seattle. But yeah, so those two have definitely driven the Philly bus, you could say, for this team. And then a couple other notable players, obviously Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez and Zach Wheeler. The three of them were, I say were because Wheeler obviously is out for the season, and who knows about his future. But the three of them were a trio to be messed with. I think with Wheeler in our rotation, we have the best rotation in all of baseball, and I don't really know if it's close, especially with Sanchez pitching the way he is. But Sanchez is a Cy Young. He'll probably be Cy Young runner-up because I don't really think it's possible now to catch Paul Skeens, who is an absolute freak, might I add. So Sanchez, unbelievable season. Ranger kind of has just turned it on. Last night he threw a gem against the Mets, and he just is calm, cool, and collected. He's the perfect starter to have like your first game in the playoffs when you're on the road. So I'm excited for him. And then a couple of the new guys. I mean, Duran, unbelievable. This dude, obviously he had a little rough patch there, but his entrance, there's nothing better in baseball. And as a closer, this is something we haven't had since maybe Papelbon, but even Papelbon was only about a year. So maybe Brad Lidge. So that's really taking it back some time. All right, sorry about that. And then lastly, Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader has been a revelation for the Phillies. We have not had a center fielder that we can put out there and get more than one hit in a game at a time. I think last night Bader, or maybe it was the night before. Yeah, the night before, we beat the Mets 1-0, and Bader, I think, had a 4-hit night. I would love to know the stats. When is the last time the Phillies had a center fielder that got 4 hits in a game? Because I would bet it's maybe Odubel Herrera. There's no way Rojas ever did it. There's no way Marsh ever did it. Yeah, I bet it's Odubel Herrera. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, so I think those are definitely my standouts and who players I want to highlight. And then where do they stack up right now in the National League? I mean, the Dodgers came into the year with all this hype. They haven't even won 80 games yet. I think they're not the best team in the National League right now. Best team is the Brewers, but we just went to Milwaukee and beat them 2 out of 3 games. So, like, by the numbers, I guess we're a better team. So right now, if I had to rank my top 5 in the National League, I think I would go Padres at 5. I think I'm going to go Cubs at 4. Dodgers at 3. Brewers at 2. And Phillies at 1. And now Cubs at 4. I think that's kind of just because their lineup shows how volatile they can be. I mean, at any second, they could score 14 runs. And now that Shota Imanaga, their ace, is back, and he seems to kind of be back on the right track, I think they have a decent chance to make a good little run here in the postseason. Padres at 5, they just kind of seem to get hot at the right times, especially going into the postseason. I mean, they beat the Dodgers not last year, 2 years ago. They beat the Dodgers, and the Dodgers still had Ohtani at that point, yeah, which is crazy. And then Dodgers at 3 because go look at that team if you don't know what I'm talking about. You'll understand. Brewers at 2, mainly because the second half since the All-Star game, they have been unbelievable. Insane. And then us because, like I said, we just beat the Brewers 2 out of 3 games. Our pitching, even though we don't have Wheeler, unbelievable. Our lineup, it's great. Obviously not right now, but let's put a disclaimer out there. This is with both teams fully healthy. So yeah, like that's what I'm thinking for the top 5. World Series prediction right now, I think I would give me the Phillies and versus, I'm trying to think who's good in the American League. Not the Tigers. I don't think the Red Sox. You know what? I hate to say it. I think we might get Phillies-Astros again. I don't know why. I don't know. I think we might. If I was a betting man, I think I'd bet Phillies-Astros. The only other team might be Phillies-Red Sox. But you know who else is good? It's the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays they're sneaky good. So watch out for them. But yeah. So I think that's it for today, ladies and gents. I think we talked a lot about Jalen Hurts. It was kind of all over the place. Talked a lot about the Phillies. Again, all over the place. But that's what you're here for. You come to see me. You come to listen to this worthless knowledge that I have about sports and the games that I love. And you just are here to support me, and I appreciate that. Shout out to all of you guys. So I will talk to you soon. Definitely won't be a drought as big as last time. And I'm looking forward to the next episode where, I'm not going to promise you when it'll be, but it'll be soon because I'm in the studio all the time and I have no excuse. So until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. And, oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel and on Spotify. Just give it a like. You could, I usually keep the comments on, so give it a comment. Type something in there. Give me your top 5 in the YouTube comments. Put your top 5 so I know what a lot of people are thinking, especially if you're not a fan of the Eagles. I'd love to know what you think from an outside perspective. So give me your top 5 QBs down there. And yeah, so I'll catch you all next time. Peace.